Welcome back to another episode of the Harbor Site. Today we have Johnny Slicks, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello.
Simple Johnny. Simple Jack.
Simple
Jack. Perfect.
Simple Jack. Aww.
That's perfect.
Okay. We have the talented Miss Capra, of course.
And
then-
Mr. Capra.
And Caitlin. And then Allie's brother.
That's my brother.
So,
My big brother. He's much older.
on this episode of the Harbor Site, we're talking all about Miss Capra and her youth.
My youth?
Yeah, is that what we're talking about?
No.
Since we have your brother here?
So we are not talking about that, but the reason I chose this topic today is because we've all kind of been talking about a lot lately, collectively, how much times have changed since we were teenagers and growing into like young adults, and how much harder we worked and how much more time we spent outside and what kind of things we were interested in, and how it seems like as a whole everybody is really okay with just being mediocre at everything that they do. They don't have many aspirations to be great, for greatness.
That's right.
And the kind of the modern day motto of the culture is, I'm gonna do this because I can, because it feels good, right?
You don't own me. The movie
Yeah, you don't
Toyota.
own me.
You don't own me.
Lack of responsibility is another big one too.
Exactly. And so I wanted to go over a few statistics because some of them are surprising. As far as right now, they're saying in the next 24 hours in the United States, so this is for age group 12 to 19-year-olds. In the next 24 hours, 1,439 teens will attempt suicide. 2,795 teenage girls will become pregnant. 15,000 teens will use drugs for the first time in 24 hours, the next 24 hours. 3,500 teens will run away. 2 teens will be murdered.
2?
2.
Okay.
That's horrible.
That's murder rates. Okay, also, we're talking about obesity. And this is between children of adolescents between 2 and 19. The prevalence of obesity in that age group, 2 to 19, is 13.7 million children are obese. 13.7 million.
Crazy.
What?
Is that U.S.? That's just U.S.?
This says right here.
Yeah, U.S. in the United States.
United States only.
And there's like what? The last census was 333 million people in the U.S.?
Right. Only
That's crazy.
right now, teenagers in the U.S., it says are about as far as like economic independence, only 3% are like could handle taking care of themselves. 3% of teenagers like financially could sustain livelihood on their own.
Is that age of being
18?
able to? Because a 12-year-old or 13 is.
No, but it's talking about
Sure. They shouldn't have to.
ages 14 to 24.
Oh shit. So 20. That's me.
Yeah.
So is this discussion about obesity or about children not
As a whole, we're talking about youth and the differences in youth from our
generation?
generation to this generation.
You guys know who Frank Martin is? He's a basketball coach at South Carolina, the Gamecocks.
Okay, yeah,
He
actually, we do
used
know
to
him.
coach at K-State, but he moved over there and got you guys to your first, or South Carolina, their first ever Final Four in basketball. And his statement, I thought, was the most powerful thing, is that the kids haven't changed, we have. We have no longer held the kids to the same standards that we were held to because somehow we're feeling like they're too soft and they can't do it. We're not giving them the opportunity to rise to
Damn.
the challenge.
Damn, it was...
Oh, mic drop. Okay, I think we're done.
Flip the script on everybody.
I
That
mean,
makes sense.
So we're the problem.
where we've sissified everything, sports, work, everything, worrying about people's feelings and everything else, and not giving them the opportunity to step up and do the things that we did, so they're not able to work.
I like that because instead of blaming the symptoms, you just flipped it on the actual source of the problem.
And I say we as Americans, I mean it's
Adults, parents.
but it's
Coaches,
become a right and left
teachers.
issue, you know. the left is wanting to make everything's too hard. We got to make it easy for them because they need a safe space to go hide. And when people were in 1945 coming back from World War II in Vietnam, they didn't even call it PTSD. They called it shell shocked. But people were still. I mean, my grandma was telling me people went to war on the GI Bill after they just saw their friends go through this terrible stuff, but they weren't allowed to, take time to recover from it because their families had to eat.
Right. It wasn't that was a luxury to take time out and go figure things out for yourself.
Not that I'm not saying anything that people on welfare are bad, but it's become fun, like a fun thing or something. When my grandma grew up, it was an embarrassment. You did everything you can to avoid welfare, but now they're like, "Oh, just take it. It's free money." Why would
Now people are working to get. They're like
just
trying to set goals.
Just get on
to do
welfare. Cars for clunkers. I got a nice new car. Thanks, Obama.
Brand new phone.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just become acceptable to take the easy way out because no one's shaming them for it. And if you shame them for it, you're the problem. You're being a bully.
Well, it's like, what are other things besides shaming people? Well, what could we do as a society to get people geared up in the right direction to give themselves better standards and expect more out of people? Because, that's the biggest thing. You get expectations to do more from a boss or whatever, and you're like, I don't like the way that makes me feel. I don't want to quit.
I mean, we have to, as a parent, I have to impart on them that they're not entitled to anything. Like,
That is a big entitlement is a huge issue.
and I like what he said because I look at it as like kids are entitled these days. Kids are lazy these days. Their work ethic is bad. Like, I see these things, but he's absolutely right. Like, it is an adult's issue because we allowed it to happen. We allowed them to be entitled. We did not teach them the lessons that we should have taught them, that maybe were taught to us either through society or through whatever.
Hard knocks or whatever.
Participation trophies or
Yeah.
like my kid's crying, here you go.
Play with
Look
your
at this.
FaceTime.
Well,
Yeah.
for me, I had a grandmother that was rich, and she loved me, and she had it hard and she was very wealthy. She made it the hard way, and she wanted to give me everything out of love, but at the same time, she hurt me because she did. Every time I'd go to jail or something,
Wait, what?
Whoa!
a DUI
Every time she
or
went got
something
me to jail.
stupid, oh, I don't want him to get in trouble, and she'd bail me out and get me a lawyer, and I never learned a lesson. I'd go to New York, Miami, spend all my money, and Grandma, I need money for my bills, and she'd cuss me out, but I knew at the end she'd give me the money. And then when she died, which is sad, all she wanted was I quit drinking and grow up, and I did because I didn't have her to go back to, so I had to rise to the occasion, right? And it's almost like the left is teaching that the government is your grandma. They're gonna we'll keep bailing you out, right? You're never giving them the opportunity to earn it.
Right.
As a coach, a wrestling coach, I do it a little different than when my dad coached me, but it's still we're wrestling.
So touch on that. So what are your age groups? So if you don't know, he coaches wrestling in Kansas City.
Yeah.
What age groups?
Now I'm doing 5 years old up to 8th grade, but for the prior decade I was doing high school. Well, 7 years I was coaching high school.
So like, how were the kids?
Well, where I was at was somewhat of a ghetto, and they kind of had this attitude that we can't, since they didn't grow up wrestling like all the other kids in our district, because we had a meat grinder of a district of kids that have wrestled since 5 years old, and they, like, everybody except us, right? Mm-hmm. The poor black kids didn't start until high school, and they didn't have a dad, so nobody'd ever pushed them. And I said, you know what? And then we can't push them because they're not used to it. I said, no, we can do that. And we did
It's
push
exactly what they need.
Right, and so I did push them. I did make them do more than what the other kids did. We wrestled for an hour a day, or 40 minutes a day straight. Before, they weren't doing that type of thing.
How did they receive it?
We had I think 7 or 8 years prior to me being there, had not anybody go to state. Then we had kids getting medals at state. Three or four guys going to state together as a team. And I'm watching this progression. When you're pushing them and not you're giving them the same standard and a higher standard than the other kids, they were rising to that. The ones that did stick with it. Some of them quit because they didn't have their dad there to tell them they couldn't quit. But I made friends with them, and it was almost like I was a father figure too. I'm still friends with a lot of them, you know, that are in college and whatever now. But
So I mean, okay, so from that perspective, just FYI, my brother and I were raised in like a very, very good home. Our parents weren't super wealthy, but we were always taken care of. We wanted for nothing. And we grew up with parents that loved us and supported us. So like we were able to be spoiled in a sense. Like we didn't, we could take for granted what we had because we had so much, right?
I think Dad and Mom wanted us to push us harder, but we had a grandma that made it hard for them because she'd spoil us.
But they never would let us.
No, they made us do what we were supposed to.
We had to work.
We still had standards that we had to accomplish.
They would never let us become entitled. If we did, it was like, oh, really? Okay, well, we'll take that away, and we'll take that away, and we'll take that away. You're not going to be spoiled. I want to know from somebody who didn't have that, didn't have any of those things, didn't have anything, was the kid in the poor neighborhood that didn't have somebody to push him in a sport, was the person that didn't have, like, anybody go, no, you have to finish. How did you get here?
Oh.
Military,
No, I mean, I started working at 11 years old, and then I think my mom lied at like 12. I think she could probably correct me, but I think at 12 years old, she lied on an application saying that I was old enough to get a job. I was busting tables, and so like if you know your Social Security statements that you get back, mine goes back to like when I was 12. So if you like do the math, you're like, wait a minute, he wasn't supposed to be like, paying taxes and Social Security. To me, it wasn't, I don't know, being where I came from and doing what I did, like, it was really no, like, if you wanted something, my mom was working two jobs to, like, support my brother and I mean, she was, like, constantly gone, and she made the effort where she could, but at the end of the day, I mean, she was working her butt off to make it happen for us. For me, it was just, like, if I wanted to do something, if I wanted a life for myself, like, there was nobody gonna hand it to me. Like, I knew from a young age that if I want a snack, if I want a bike, if I want a tool to fix my bike, like, there's nobody getting that for me unless I do it. Now, one time my dad got me a bike and then had it mailed over, or like when he was visiting, he got it for me. And I had it for 1 week. I'll never forget. It was a Haro trick bike. It had front and back pegs. It was like chromed out. It was beautiful.
The coolest cat on the block.
Coolest cat on the block.
Universal's
until-
like,
put a card in the
no.
spokes.
Yeah. And then they were like, oh, nope. I had that thing less than a week, and then somebody stole it out of the house.
Oh,
So I was like, and then I never forgot that. But anyways, so like if you wanted something, you had to work for it. And I guess because of the society and the system that I lived in, like that's just the way it was. So growing up, like I just had that kind of mentality of if I want something, then I need to get a job and save for it and make it happen for myself because no one's going to give it to me.
Okay, so Johnny,
Yes.
sort of similar, like to get to Johnny Slicks.
And
Tell what you were doing.
well,
to
hold
get
on. And
here.
I would consider Johnny closer to like the youth of this generation. I mean, he looks older.
I'm literally 24, so yeah.
You are still considered youth.
Well, according to the statistics, yeah, I am. So kind of the same thing.
But you're drastically different from other 24-year-olds. And
Yeah,
some of
like
that
a lot
has to
of
do with the
people-
Marine Corps.
A lot of people don't think. How do I want to word this?
Just word it. People love when you say
They
things.
love it when
Put
you
in
say crazy shit.
quotation.
Just put it in air quotes, Johnny.
Starbucks ought to pay us.
And Monster, and Yeti,
Yeah.
and Gerber, and Johnny Sucks. So skip me. Let me.
No.
Let me think about it because
Yeah,
I want to
should
wear
wear
a certain
something.
way.
What did the military do to kids that felt entitled?
Well, do it right here, because she's
Yeah. That's a question for Caitlin.
she's got 300 little kids
what
under
happens
her.
when they show up thinking that they're going to get it their way in the
So,
military?
12 years ago when I joined the military, one thing happened, and right now what's going on is a completely different thing because you stay in the Marine Corps long enough or any situation long enough to watch it change. So if I messed up when I was a Lance Corporal in 2007, I was cutting grass with cuticle scissors or doing something like that. Silly, but now, you can't do that because it's the fear of getting investigated or
I have a story about
harassment.
Our time. So talking about, remember I talked about this, the entitlement thing?
Mm-hmm.
So there I was, it was 2004 ball, 2nd Force Recon, and we did the ball and then I left. That was a Friday night. Monday morning I showed up and my team leader at 2nd Force, I show up to the team room and he comes outside and he's like, you better get a fucking water source and stand the fuck by. And I'm like, this is Monday morning. I'm like, oh shit, what the hell did I do? Did I kill someone this weekend? I don't know what happened, right? So he's pissed. This dude is pissed at me. I don't have a clue what happened. So he takes me and we run down, we're in Courthouse Bay, we run down the tank trail
Still there.
to what's the DZ off to the right? You run up towards
I don't know the name of it, but
there's a DZ up there. So he runs out, there's concertina wire all through the DZ. So he takes me out there and thrashes the piss out of me. I mean, for 3 hours. I'm completely covered in dirt. I still have no idea why I'm in trouble. And so he thrashes the piss out of me, gets up, and then proceeds to tell me why that I am a piece of shit. Apparently, after I left the ball, now keep in mind, I was a sergeant in the Marine Corps at this time. A sergeant. Apparently, at the end of the ball, there was 2 Lance Corporals who I know and will remain nameless, got hammered. And this was downtown Wilmington, at the Marriott or something, and they pulled all the banners and curtains off of the wall, not even our ball, and we're rolling around in them and
You partook in this?
No,
Debauchery?
I was not even there.
But he was in charge.
But you're in charge.
No, I was not in charge of
no?
them. They were just on the platoon. But
Somebody mentioned your name.
somebody name dropped me after the fact, saying, "Oh, that was Sergeant K that did that." And then finally, after 3 hours of thrashing, I said, "Staff Sergeant, that wasn't. I didn't do that. I left at this time." He's like, "Oh, well, hey, good sport. Let's go back," and ran back. So it wasn't even my fault, but I took my licks and I moved the fuck on instead
You
of
didn't
being
sue him?
right.
So
you
didn't go
just-
talk to the chaplain.
No,
or
I didn't do
say,
anything. I did my push-ups, my 8 counts. I got dirty and sweaty, and then he goes, well, good sport.
So where are you guys? You don't have a safe space for people to go heal?
Not then.
No?
Not then. That was my time. But
They do now for real?
No, I wouldn't call it a
In
safe
military?
space, but there are individuals that they can go see and speak to about whatever it is that they have a problem with.
Injustices,
yes.
such as having to
Which
thrash for 3
in turn
hours.
launches investigations for hazing or for equal opportunity issues and things
so
like that.
how would that be handled now if something like that happened?
If something like that happened, it depends on the unit that you're at, because some people might be afraid of that investigation. It's like the what if that higher leadership is worried about. What if he goes and talks to this person and says that I did this, then where can my career go from there?
So it probably doesn't even happen.
No, paperwork is the easiest thing to do. You get a counseling. This is what you did on this day. If it happens again, you will get in trouble. And then you give them another one.
I think you just
And
make
then another one.
I think unfortunately those moves are just making us. I don't want to it's just making us soft, and I hate to put it so simple.
It's imploding.
But
They
yeah,
talk
it
about
just-
a civil war. People have been talking about it for the last 10 years, that we're going to have a civil war. But if the left, what are they going to do about it? Cry? What are you going to do if somebody's bludgeoning you? If
You're so soft.
Well, that's my point. Is they're soft. What are you going to do if that's the type of person that you are, and you're talking about a civil war? You're going to cry until Trump decides to leave?
Oh, there we go. How many minutes was that before? Hold on.
We had a clock
19.
first.
You made it 19 minutes before bringing up Trump. Nice.
Forget if it's Trump. Someone like him. Somebody that's with that sort of mentality.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's just reinforcing what I'm saying, is that all these things that we have grown up with, there's a reason for them. It's a feeling of accomplishment. What is the YouTube video where was it an admiral talking about the first thing you do is get up and make in your bed?
Craven, yeah.
That's an example.
I made our
of,
bed this morning.
I noticed.
But it's an example of the ideology that we're talking about here.
Baby's crying.
is these simple things that people do in their life, and simple things that here's what we do, they're standards, right? And they make you feel good. And from that, you feel better and you do the next thing. If we don't have any of them, everybody's always depressed and sad. Well, you don't accomplish anything. You lay in bed and feel sorry for yourself. You go about pitying yourself all the time. Of course you're not going to feel good about yourself.
It kind of comes down to this, and maybe Johnny can jump in after this, but like there's a thing that it's always kind of bothered me, people with the entitlement thing, and it's like people want to look a certain way. A lot of times it happens with females.
Oh yeah.
You know, people see somebody like Caitlin. She looks fucking phenomenal. Everything on her body is tight. She's 31 years old. She just had a baby 3 months ago, and she don't move when she dances or shakes. Like she's tight, right?
Oh man.
So people see somebody like that, and they're like,
Who does she think she is?
right, oh God, I want to look like that. And then they get almost like this insecurity thing of like frustration and annoyance with her. Well, what the fuck are you doing to look like that? like what are you doing to see that through?
What work are you putting in?
Right, and if you're not
Working at
for
the Krispy Kreme.
if you're not working for that, then you can't be upset with anyone else but yourself. So, what are some things as a whole do you feel like we could do? And I know you could touch on this, maybe Johnny, you could touch on how you got to where you're at, to get young people to see the level. I mean, I love that you wrote these books, because it's like these books are based off of standards set up by an institution that's created to help people to grow, right, and serve their country. But these are standards. So it's like, okay, you want to do that? Okay, how are you going to work towards that standard? This is a tool. What are some more tools?
Mom and Dad went to a ministers' conference, and they said, if people that want to work for you, you give them this list, and here's the procedures, and here's how we do everything. And if you don't want to do these things, you don't want to work for us. Well, it's the same way with success or whatever you're going to do. There's a playbook on how you get there. Of course, there's all kinds of people that have various ways to go about it, but it's all the same thing, and it's hard work, right? There's certain paths to things.
But how do you implement that with an 8-year-old?
I think what he's touched on something. Two things that I think that are missed nowadays is, one, obviously we touched on the entitlement thing. We've done that. We as parents and as adults, we've said like wanted the best for them, but in some sick way we've made them entitled, because they're like you deserve everything.
Because I got divorced, or because
life was hard, or whatever.
I'm going to do this so you feel a little bit better, because I feel bad for what?
So we've built this
bad behavior.
we've built this entitlement thing, and the also thing because of the internet, because of YouTube and social media and all this stuff, they see all this stuff, so they think they don't have any more patience. They think that they can do everything and get everything they want like this, and because there is that ability, they're entitled as well. So, but it's like you said, like if you want to look a certain way, or you want to achieve the title of Marine, like you have to be patient. And if you're going to work out to like drop, like if you've been sitting on your ass your entire youth, and now you're 100 pounds overweight, and I just got the hair up my ass to join the Marine Corps, well sorry kid, that ain't going to happen. You're going to have to be like Austin that did this, and put a year's worth of work in to lose 100 pounds and to get in shape. Now the kid's at BRC under a recon contract. But he freaking had the patience and did the work. So there's two things. One, kids need to be like super freaking patient in their life. Like from 18 to 30, early 30s, like that's your learning. You're going to fail a bunch, you're going to fuck up, and you're not going to be successful. Like, sorry, that's your learning time. You know, you can, like we started all this when I was 34? Like, we're just getting started. Like, it takes freaking time to make things happen. And the same thing goes with anything. So be patient. You're not entitled to anything, but you deserve everything you work for.
The other thing, too, and it's a big, important part of it, is learning to manage your emotions. What I've learned with a lot of Christian stuff, and is you cannot look at your emotions as your reality. Because most people don't feel like getting out of bed. There's so many days I feel like I can't, I get up and I want to do jujitsu. I don't want to get out of bed. I'm hurting, but I'm like, I really want to move on to this next level. It doesn't matter how you feel.
You said that in your book.
Well, because the next level doesn't care how you feel. To get where you want to go, you still got to do these procedures to get there. So how you feel is irrelevant. So when you're teaching kids, well, they say, I don't want to do this. Well, it doesn't matter that you want this or want that. Do it anyway, because that's how you get to what you really want, right? And we have so many parents saying, well, how do you feel? And talk about your feelings. And your feelings they can be up and down in an hour, you know? It doesn't matter what you're feeling at the moment. You have to learn to ignore that.
What did you say about how you feel when you get out of bed? What was your quote?
If you're taking your temperature every day and you wake up and you're going, gosh, man, how do I feel this morning? First of all, you probably don't have kids. Second of all, if you're doing this, I just feel down. Like, you have too much time on your hands. Like, that's...
You don't have enough goals.
You don't have enough goals.
Look at Marco. Our cousin won a national title, the heavyweight D1 champion from Missouri in 2009. And in Friday night, he won the semifinals match. So you have to wait 24 hours to you're on ESPN in front of the whole world.
See the bracket.
So you wake up, he woke up Saturday morning and he says the biggest part of all of that, well, it started the summer before, but that morning when you woke up, he said, oh man, my throat's a little sore. And man, no one ever thought I'd get to the finals. If I got second, no one would really be mad at me. He started having these thoughts and they were excuses and giving himself ways out to not be disappointed with himself if he lost. Like he was finding, and he said, no, I came here, I've been working my ass off.
I'm going to crush this.
I'm going to crush this. I'm going to beat it. And he went into triple overtime to do it. But also that summer before, he had people around, Ben Askren, who was a two-time
Olympic.
He was a two-time national champ, won the Olympics. He fought in MMA, but he was his coach. And this guy wrote a book on mental toughness. And he would not let, they trained all summer, but he wouldn't let anyone in his house or near him that had something negative to say about his performance. He wouldn't allow anybody to get near him that could alter his belief that he was going to do what he said he was going to do.
It's amazing. That's hard to do.
And when it came down to that last 10 hours before the match, it was clearing any negative emotion out because he came here for one thing. So if we allow ourselves to go and think about all the possibilities and excuses and the hard stuff in our life, we didn't get what we wanted, but we have an excuse. So people might not say, well, my knee was hurt, so that's why I didn't win. Nobody cares.
Nobody.
You got an ugly girlfriend now.
That's like you said before about being mediocre. Everybody's settling for mediocrity, and it's being projected that that's okay, and that's a problem. Like, they should not be giving up. They should not be okay with second best, like you said. And that's a big issue that I see with the 18-year-olds I see every day. You have a first, second, or third class PFT. Oh, I got a third class. That's cool. I passed. That's the mentality. That's the way that they think. Not like, I'm 31. I've been in the Marine Corps for 12 years, and I'm like, I need to beat all these 18-year-old kids, and I have a 280.
Or they're proud that they made tape.
Yes.
What are the
Not
kids,
based on muscle, based
Yes.
what do the
weight.
kids in college say? D's get degrees.
Right, and that's mediocrity is
terrible.
completely acceptable to a lot of the youth nowadays, and you need. That's like the participation trophy. You came in second. Great job. No, next time do better.
You came in 12th place.
Right.
You made it.
You guys remember before the election, and Trump kept saying, "We're going to win big. We're going to win so big. We're going to get tired of winning." You know, he kept saying that, and the Republicans were like thinking, "This guy's going down. We don't like that guy." Well, he was saying, he kept talking about winning. And I really believe that guy, of course he'd been spoiled and had all this money growing up, but they conditioned this guy to believe that there wasn't anything but winning. And I mean, he was a millionaire or billionaire, right? So he couldn't imagine him losing. People say, well, he had this business fail and that. He had 5 businesses fail, or 7. But he has 512 or 513 total businesses. Like, his success rate's like 99% something. But the mentality that he'd been raised in was, doesn't matter the circumstances. It doesn't matter what people. I mean, if you looked at the polls and read the news, you'd give up, right? He was going to get slaughtered, but he just couldn't imagine in his heart anything but winning. You know, anything but the best. Mediocrity isn't something that people that are, I guess,
Comfortable.
I don't want to say that they're okay being blue collar, because there's nothing wrong with that, but they don't understand this only the best. They look at it as he's just greedy. But it's just a heart condition I think this guy has, an emotional condition that says I'm only accepting the best. And that's why
I'm attracting good to
you're
my
out of
life
here.
always.
You don't give me the best. You don't give me 100%. You're fired.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Fired.
So Johnny, you got your point?
So yeah, I still like you said, 24 to 30, right, or 18 to 30, whatever you just said number wise. I'm still in that bracket, so I'm the only one.
Yep.
So I feel like I'm still learning, but like you said, I'm not like a normal 24-year-old. Most people think I'm early 30s, late 20s.
You look so old.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Yeah.
But you're probably going to
I
look the
feel
same when you're like 40 something.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go to Will Smith in my 20s. But I feel like, I don't know, I had a different mentality growing up. I was easily adjusted, you know, if something happened. And even my pros and cons in the Marine Corps, they said that I strive under change. So like I look for things that change and then I attack on it. But things that are stagnant, I get bored and do my own thing. So I don't know about entitlement or anything like that. I know a lot of my friends are.
But like, where did you think you got your work ethic? Because I can vouch for your work ethic. I'm usually one pulling.
Not only you, but you and your wife, like together.
Her was her parents. Me, I don't know. I didn't have a job before the Marine Corps. I mean, I worked for my dad. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, my dad.
You
he
went
has his
in
own
18?
business. Yeah, he has his own business. His work ethic. Me and my dad, we always bumped heads. So, but it wasn't until I was about 18 when I realized that his work ethic was something that I wanted. If something was going on at the house, the home, he had work first because he understood something had support family. If it was snowing, raining, anything, and I think it was from his childhood, which is he worked since he was young as well. So I always wanted that work ethic, but I was not spoiled as a kid. Central Jersey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, Northern Jersey is worse.
we had stuff provided, and I think I realized that we had things provided because of my father's work ethic, So if I wanted to do that, I needed to switch my mentality and start working on that mental attitude.
Did you have the same work ethic you do now with Johnny Slicks in the Marine Corps?
Yeah. I think now that's where I was getting to it is I didn't have a job before the Marine Corps. So once 18 hit, I was, like I said, strive under change. So the Marine Corps was the largest fucking change anyone can go under. So it went from no work at all. I was a skateboarder, I was a punk, whatever, street hoodlum, whatever you call it. So, and then went to the Marine Corps, and it was like complete different. I had to now work for what goals. I had to set goals. I had to achieve them. I had to find the ladder, the steps to get to it. And then since I strive under change, I was easily adapted to it. And I knew my end goal was to be a killer. And the air quotes. A motivator.
Warrior.
So I was like, let me switch my mindset, let me get to that and work towards it. And through the Marine Corps, I realized that there's leadership traits and stuff like that, and I needed to obtain them somehow or work towards them. And then got out, started Johnny Slicks, and I kind of my mentality didn't switch, it kind of just altered. I know that's like a synonym.
Well, you learned.
Yeah, it was like a different environment, but I kept the same mentality just in a different environment,
Just fine-tuned it.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people that are my age, even a little bit older, do not have that mentality or the work ethic or
all.
Yeah, or they don't want.
But that's the difference. That right there is this exact difference between you getting to where you want and Johnny Slicks being where it is at today by somebody else not being where they want to be, because you're here.
And I knew after the Marine Corps, I don't want to work for anybody else. When I got out, I worked at a gas station, I worked at a barber shop, and I was like, I fucking hate this. I don't want to do this.
I'm done.
And it's that simple. I have nothing against homeless people, but there's homeless people and they're walking around perfectly capable. They're walking to the cars, running to the cars for money. I'm like, why don't you fucking go work? And that's a whole other topic. But it's just the mentality is just lazy. It's just nobody wants to work or
They
something.
just want to be taken.
They want other people to work, and then they
Receive.
take from it, and that goes along with the welfare thing he was saying. But
Well, and it bleeds into politics, and that's why I said no. Right and left is we want to be ruled with people with that attitude of go out and earn it. Don't accept the government handing you something, because what they are handing you.
Or society. Yeah.
Well, but the people on the left think the government should run their lives for them, right? I mean, that's essentially
Yeah.
what it comes down to, is they want more government programs, running their lives, managing the way they make money, deciding how much they should make, giving them a minimum wage of $15 an hour.
Telling them what's right and wrong, telling them how often they can see their kids and what days they can pick them up. Tell them how
Right. I
long they
mean,
can,
this is what you're voting for.
what
versus-
shots your children have to have.
We're gonna wind the Capras up here.
Yeah, but then you got versus the right, which is the mentality of, hey, make it happen for yourself. Go out and work, you know?
Well,
Alright.
yes.
I'm gonna wrap this up.
Wrap
So,
it up. It all comes down to what? Parenting?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to adults leading the way, and Neil really like kicked it off with that, which I think is perfect, because so much do we treat the symptom instead of the source of the problem. The source of the problem is essentially adults, teachers, parents. I mean, the leader figures in the society. We're essentially the problem. Now, if you don't have a good leader, you don't have a good teacher, you don't have a good parent, then it's on you. Be patient, don't be entitled, and fucking work for it. If you want something, put the effort in for it. That's it.
And if you want this,
Oh yeah.
Nick and Josh will tell you right how.
We'll
What do you think that
square you away. So that's it for the Harbor site. If you enjoyed it, give us a little thumbs up button. If you know somebody that needs to hear this, hit the share button and then subscribe and then hit the notifications for us. Also, if you would like to support, we have a Patreon link below. Keep this channel going. We appreciate everyone's support, and of course, drop us your comments so Johnny reads all of them.
I take it to heart. I lay in bed at night and I'm like, let me read all these real quick. And I'm like,
tell that bald racist asshole to get that.
like I want to comment to some of them, and I'm like, nah.
No.
keep going.
Johnny's losing sleep over your
Types it out
comments.
5 times.
Yeah,
like,
Johnny's losing sleep over your comments,
You
so
can't-
drop those below,
Don't let Johnny sleep.
and
Hashtag.
we'll see you guys in the next video.